Hey, what's up, guys? It's Confessions of a Doctorholic with Hafsa Slayman. It's such a bittersweet moment. 4 weeks of my elective has ended. I've learned so much. I've met so many people. I've woken up at 5 a.m. successfully. I've probably had the most restless nights. I've studied way too much, and I've had information overload. So this was yesterday, literally my last day of placement. It was the most intense and the most interesting. I finally found someone in town that was a DCD donor. Now what this means, it's like a fancy term for a donation after circulatory death. There's also a DBD donor. So we prefer DBD donors. So think about it. DBD donor is someone that is brain dead. So your heart is functioning beautifully. It's still pumping blood to your liver. So your liver is in optimum condition to be donated. If you have someone who's had a circulatory death, the organs are compromised because your heart is pumping blood everywhere. And we don't usually know the extent of that. You have to go in and evaluate. So this guy was a DBD donor. I think I made a mistake earlier in the episode, but it was a DBD donor. We had to drive to this hospital. It was a 15-minute drive, so not too intense. There was a walk of pride because he decided to donate his organs. This was before his death. So that's what they did with his family. His family said their goodbyes, and basically there was a partition, so they kept us in a different room. And then we went in. It was probably the fastest 5 minutes, or maybe it was longer, I'm not really sure. But I'm assuming it's the fastest 5 minutes of my life. We had 2 individuals that were lung transplant surgeons as well. They were extracting the lungs. And it was fast. I felt like it was like a mad dash. It was meant to be, I'm not trying to be insensitive here, but it almost felt like a game. From my perspective, it felt like a game. Obviously it wasn't, but it was just so fast paced. I forgot to tell you guys, the night before, I was in surgery till about 4 or 5 a.m. We had 3 livers coming in, so we know that we needed to have all hands on deck. We also asked some of the other residents, some of the senior residents to get involved as well so that we can maximize the help that we give these patients. So I was there till 4 a.m. because obviously med student here, I can't do those intricate surgery stuff, but I can help close a patient. So I was there with one of the fellows. We were helping closing the case. So I was up till 4 a.m. And then there was another liver transplant happening while we were extracting this. I don't remember why, but the liver wasn't in good condition. But I don't remember why we thought it was compromised. Oh yeah, I remember now. There was a mistake with the equipment. And basically what you need to do if you are disconnecting the plumbing. So basically if you're removing the artery, the hepatic arteries from the circulation of the person, and obviously heart stopped beating now. So you need to start flushing it with fluid so it's not dying. And basically there was a problem with the tubing. And so a few minutes has passed. So we didn't know if it was still viable or not. And that's why we stopped. Huge learning opportunity though. So I come back and it's my final day of placement, so I might as well go into surgery. I am exhausted at this point. I'm not gonna lie to any of you. I tried my best, I worked hard, I pulled nights, I studied in my extra time, I prepared for outpatient clinic. Yes, I am one of those students. But in that moment, I was exhausted. I was tired. I was happy, to be honest, guys. I needed a break. Anyway, so I'm in the surgical theater and I'm finally watching the last operation that I will on my liver service. When suddenly the surgeon looks around and the anaesthetist is like, her heart stopped beating. And he's like, oh, like, what do you mean? Oh, her heart stopped beating. Like, it was, I think from my perspective, I heard it like that, but honestly, it was heaps faster. Now I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, these guys, they're exhausted. One of the surgeons on the service has literally been on the Guinness Book of Records for the fastest liver transplant surgeries in his life. I think his average was about 10 hours. So you can imagine being there for 10 hours. And if it's 3 cases, that means 30 hours. And they go on and off, and like the fellows do stuff, but like still, like, you need to be concentrating. You're standing for that long. You're not sitting. It is extremely intense. So I can see that these guys are fatigued. So this is what I do. I literally message the fellow that was with me on the extraction process. I tell him, listen, the lady's heart stopped beating. We need to do CPR ASAP. And then I scrub in. I'm exhausted at this point, but one thing that I do know is I can do good CPR. That is something they train us from like literally day one. It's like basic life support. That's what you need to do. Even if you're not a doctor, you know how to do these things to help your colleagues. You never know when these skills might come in handy. So I scrub in, and obviously because I'm vertically challenged, the table is high up. All the surgeons are high up. They already started the CPR. So I come in and I was like, I'm going to help you guys. You know what's crazy? Like, for the first time, like usually in the operating room, you don't want to be in anyone's way. You're asking them, like, is there anything I can do? And you're trying not to be this annoying student. Obviously, you're trying to be as useful as possible in whatever capacity you can be. So, like, at our level, it's, like, really hard to be like, okay, I'm going to do the whole surgery on my own. But there are little things, like, in this moment where I was like, I can make a difference. I can do a bloody good CPR. There aren't many people here. I am definitely not as tired as these guys. So one of the surgeons, he just kind of giggles, I suppose. And he's like, oh my God, you're not tall enough. Get her a stool. So the nurses get me a stool. I'm already scrubbed in. I'm ready to go. And I keep pushing while these guys rest for a little bit, and we keep swapping. And then the fellow that was with me on the extraction, he scrubbed in as well. And we just keep exchanging. It was exhausting. But for the first time in my entire life, okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but for the first time in my medical career, I felt extremely valuable. And it wasn't something that people said. It just felt really good to finally put all that education and put all that hard work to good use. So I'm there, and now my arms are burning. I'm questioning every single gym workout. I'm questioning why I wasn't doing any pull-ups. By the way, I can't do any pull-ups. I can do literally one chin-up that I recently lost. But I'm literally questioning, why haven't I did that? Why haven't I practiced more? Because my arms are burning and these guys are fatigued, and we are swapping. Every 30 seconds. We're doing the motions, and I had my arms locked in place, like everything was perfect, but it was so exhausting. An hour passed. The anesthetist, oh my God, she was incredible. This lady, like, it was honestly chaos. Someone bleeped the cardiothoracic team. These guys come in. There's so many people in the OR. It's honestly a bit of a mess because we had this lady that was about to die. So the anesthetist was amazing. She's this little lady. She screamed. Everyone stops. Everyone starts listening to her. She starts directing us. It was honestly perfect. Like, her leadership was so good. Anyway, we tried for about an hour and a half, and unfortunately the patient didn't make it. It was really difficult to see that. It was, it was really difficult to see that. We tried. We all tried our best. In that moment, the surgeon looked so defeated. He probably did the most CPR. He tried the hardest, and he looked so defeated. Even the anesthetist. I walked to them after the surgery, and especially anesthetist, I was like, I respect you so much. Like, you did such a good job. And she turns around and she's like, and with that attitude, you're going to be a great surgeon. It was amazing, like, hearing that. And then the surgeons went to break bad news to the lady's family. I mean, she had a fulminant liver. She literally had the biggest liver that I've seen in my entire life. And all of us knew she was dying, but for her to die on the operation table was something that you don't want and no one was expecting. And with that concludes my placement. It was amazing. So for all of you who are listening to this out there, if you have an opportunity to go on a away rotation, definitely go for it. Go for it with your hands all in, your legs all in, your everything all in, because honestly, it is such a beautiful learning experience. And I'll catch you next time.